Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be comparing a Shelby F-150 off-road to a Tuscany F-150 FTX. Now, the reason I'm doing this comparison is I talked about in the FTX review how the FTX is very similar to the Shelby F-150 off-road, and a lot of you suggested that I should just do a comparison. So here we are, and at the end of the video, we're going to decide which is the better truck to go for. Before I get into the video, I do want to mention a quick shout out to Ed Kenley Ford up in Layton, Utah for letting me film both of the trucks originally. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into the video. So starting things off by popping under the hood of the FTX, we have a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 400 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. And so, yeah, overall, I mean, that's a great setup for a pickup truck. And you guys heard by the exhaust, it definitely sounds fantastic. Now, moving to the Shelby F-150 off-road, we have the same 5-liter V8, but it's got a supercharger on it. So it's got 775 horsepower, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, they supercharge it. That's where most of the power comes from. But they also add a performance air intake, and they also have an aluminum heat exchanger to help out with the extra heat, right? Built throttle body and high flow fuel injectors as well. And so there's quite a bit that goes under the hood, and you guys can see the carbon fiber intake, which looks fantastic. But yeah, like I said, there's quite a bit that goes into play to make it so that it has 775 horsepower reliably, right? That's the key thing, reliably. And also the fact that it's power coded performance, Ford Performance Blue, I think is so cool. And you can see here with the hood, notice all the venting there with the F-150 off-road. Now popping back over to the FTX, you can see it looks super aggressive from a front-end perspective. Notice the venting there at the center of the hood. Again, really aggressive. And then you can see there off to the side as well. And overall, I think they just nailed it. Now, this one has the blackout package, so that's why the Ford logo has been blacked out. And then you guys can see this is built off a Lariat. So you've got the LED lights here with the projector lights for the headlights themselves. Super bright, and again, it's a distinctive look. Got the accent lights that go into the bump area. Notice how it's like custom here at the bottom portion. You got the light bar there below the FTX logo. You do have tow hooks here on the front end, and again, all of it together looks great. Notice there's no annoying air dam popping down, so that doesn't impede ground clearance. And again, it has a really aggressive appearance. Now, if we pop from that over to the Shelby F-150 off-road, you guys will notice that we have, kind of like a similar theme, right? You've got venting here on the hood. You do have these stripes there in the center, which kind of add to the aggression. That's kind of like a Shelby thing too, just always do stripes on all the vehicles, and they contrast nicely to the silver. You can see more venting, supercharged, so you can flex on everyone that you've got over 700 horsepower. And then notice here, this is also built off a Lariat, so you have the same headlights, Shelby logo there, front and center. That's something that they've done for the new body style F-150s, which I think definitely works at just, branding-wise. And then you can see here with the LED accent light down below, and then notice kind of how the front bumper is shaped, a little bit more aggressive. Again, no annoying air dam or anything like that. And so, it lends to it having a better ground clearance, but then it still has a similar look to like the Super Snake that's all the way lowered to the ground. But popping back from that to the side of the FTX, we've got 20-inch wheels as standard. These ones are blacked out on this particular one, and then 35s wrapped around those wheels. Now, the nice thing about the products with Tuscany is if you want to upgrade the wheels, you can. So if, like, for example, you want to upgrade to 22s, they'll let you upgrade to 22s. Now, it's got a BDS suspension lift. And in terms of the shocks, this has the Fox 2.0 Performance Series shocks. And so they're great at dampening, but we'll see how that compares to the Shelby F-150 off-road. You guys can see there with the suspension setup. And this also has a speedo recalibration, and everything's been recalibrated from a steering perspective as well. So it's all set up basically. But you can see popping here to the rear with those Fox shocks that I was telling you about. And if you guys are wondering, in terms of the size of the lift, I believe it's like a 6-inch lift. Looks great. It doesn't matter how big it is, it just looks great. And then also notice how it's here on the side at the bottom of the door. I think that looks really cool. And then your FTX logo. And then notice the venting again with another FTX logo as well. And then when you see the stance here, the truck just looks fantastic. Proportions are just perfect. But notice with the tires, it looks like you could definitely like throw 37s on it. I think those would still fit. But the 35s look great. Now popping over here to the Shelby F-150, 22s are standard on the truck. It has 35s just like the FTX. And then notice here with the Shelby logo there on the center, and then also on the red brake caliper. And you can see just how aggressive the tires are. And same thing, it's got a BDS lift. I think it's about 6 inches for this one as well. And you can see the whole shock setup. So it does have more advanced shocks. It's got the 2.5 Performance Series shocks from Fox. And it's an adjustable system, but really all we need to know for comparison's sake in today's video is that this is just a slightly more advanced system than the 2.0, and so it can handle a little bit more, and so then this one's technically more capable from a shock perspective for our comparison's sake. And yeah, and it also looks cool, especially with the front end, how they display, when you do the race series shocks with Fox, how they display it in the front wheel well. I think that's such a cool aesthetic. And then here in the back too, it definitely pops out and, it just makes the truck look cooler. Got the Shelby logo there, 775 HP badge on the side, right? Or sticker rather. And then notice there with the steps, we'll go over that in a little bit. But here's your side view. Again, looks great. And because it has 22s, you can see that it kind of fills out the wheel well just a little bit better than those 20s on the FTX. And here's a key fob for the FTX, just regular Ford key fob, nothing too crazy going on with that. And you can see here from the rear end perspective, looks great. Notice we've got the cap there at the top, and the reason they do this on this truck actually is, first off, it's a nice thing to have to cover the bed, but also it helps out with aerodynamic performance, right? Because if you have the bed completely open, then you're just gonna have air swirling in there versus a cap that covers it. And a regular tonneau cover does the same thing, but this looks cooler because it kind of like has a little lip that goes up that kind of looks like a spoiler basically. So I don't know, I dig it. Again, FTX all-terrain badge there on the side, and then you got the standard lights that come with the Lariat there in the back, and then notice again the blacked out badges on this particular FTX because it's got that blackout package on it. And then notice the exhaust tips here at the bottom poking out, and you guys heard the exhaust at the beginning of the video. Sounds great, but definitely has an aggressive appearance similar to the Raptor and the Tremor have from the factory, because they do the exhaust out the back, but they don't have a V8. This one does, so it's a big difference, right? But yeah, there's the rear of the FTX. Popping back over to the Shelby, you can see same exact key fob functionality on it is all the same, so there's no difference there. And you can see again with the exhaust tips kind of the aggressive appearance on that. And both of them, I feel like they're very nicely integrated and they both look great. If you guys are wondering, the manufacturer for the exhaust, Borla, is what they use for the trucks. And then notice the stripes there. Same thing with the bed cap, right? And on this truck, it makes a little bit more sense because, again, 775 horsepower, so you're going to want to be as aerodynamically efficient as possible, to be able to get the fastest 0 to 60. But notice the Shelby badge there at the bottom. And, again, really solid stance here, and I think it looks great. I've seen some people comment on the bed caps. If you really don't like it, that's easy to take off. But popping here to the interior of the FTX, notice you've got the normal Lariat door panel, and notice that with this truck, they picked a truck that is pretty neutral color-wise with the door panel so that it matches. And then notice the power side steps, and then here are these seats with the FTX. You can see the piping there looks great, and then notice perforated there in the center with the seats. But yeah, the power steps definitely help out with getting in when you've got a truck that's on 20s and like has a 6-inch lift. But room back there is great against the Super Crew. And then notice here with the heated seats in the back, you've got all the charging outlets, and so it's still a super practical truck from that perspective. And then you can see the cup holder armrest setup, and then your custom FTX floor mats. That's another cool thing about the truck. And then notice you got the Tuscany Motor Co. little I think it's for the owner's manual, but still, it's cool they give you a bag. But popping here into the back of the Shelby, notice the door panel's like pretty much the same. That little trim piece is a little bit different, but the color's relatively the same. Still have power steps. And then you can see here with the seats, so you get custom seats here with the F-150 off-road. That's kind of a big benefit of the package. They look great. I don't really like, I like both of the seats for different reasons. These seats look sportier. Again, of course, you got the Shelby floor mats. And then notice there with the heated seats and then all the charging outlets and everything. But yeah, I like them both for different reasons. But these ones definitely have a sportier theme. And then, of course, you got to have carbon fiber around the cup holders because, you know, you got to have carbon fiber everywhere in your 775 horsepower truck. Now going back over to the FTX here, starting with the front door panel. So again, you can see the material use continues to the front, and then notice everything again pretty neutral color wise. You do have 3 settings for the memory seats, and you know, it comes with safety tech like blind spot monitoring. Got the Bang & Olufsen sound system, so you can see you've got the speaker there in the headrest, and then here are the front seats again. Love the coloration on all of that, and I think they look great in the truck. And then there's your adjustments. Got the pedal layout down below. Got the pedal adjustment, and then that is a turn on light bar if you guys are wondering. Your light controls, and then you can see there with the tailgate drop down, mirror lights, steering wheel's power adjustable, and you got the silver trim there. Now going back over to the Shelby F-150 off-road, notice again that theme continues here with being pretty neutral on the door panel. They don't really change anything on the door panel here with the truck, so they just keep that stock. Still has the same functions, blind spot monitoring, and you got the memory seats, and so all of that is the same with both of the trucks because they're both loaded up Lariats originally. Got Bang & Olufsen sound system still. So you can see here with the whole seat setup, got the, again, the Shelby logo there at the top, and then really cool stitching design. Got your adjustments on the side of the seat, and then look at the pedals. Definitely nice attention to detail with that. Parking brake as well, and then you've got your pedal adjustment, light controls, and then you've got the mirror lights and then the tailgate drop down, and then notice the carbon fiber that's been added there with even covers the American flag, which is pretty cool. I'd be curious to see if they like 3D printed it or mold, or how they got that out. I'd be interested to hear of that. Anyways, popping back over to the FTX now. We've got the full digital gauge clusters, so you can see the startup animation on that, which, by the way, if you guys are wondering why it took so long for this to start up, if you turn the truck on and then turn it off and then turn it back on immediately, the startup animation takes way longer than normal. But here's the steering wheel. So just to be quick on the steering wheel with this, nothing's changed compared to stock. This is just the stock steering wheel, so you've got all the same controls. And being a loaded up Lariat, you've got your adaptive cruise control, and then notice, of course, windshield wiper, turn signal stock. But yeah, they just keep the steering wheel stock. And same thing with the gauge cluster. So since the digital gauge cluster, there's not a lot they can do, right? With, you know, older trucks when they had analog gauge clusters, and or, you know, lower down models for the new F-150 where it has analog gauge clusters on the side, right, and this middle of the screen, they can change stuff. But with this, you can't. So they just have to leave it to stock, which I don't think is a bad thing because the stock gauge cluster is great. Same thing with the infotainment system. You got the 12-inch display. And the thing I thought was interesting is that this one just had the backup camera, didn't have the 360 camera. So it's just how this particular Lariat is equipped. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And when I say Lariat, it's an FTX, but you guys get what I'm saying. The original truck, I thought that they would have put a 360 camera on it, but they did not. And you can see you've got like the slide function there with the infotainment system. So the 12-inch display, you guys know I'm a huge fan of that. And it's good that they put that in the truck. And then notice here we've got 4-wheel auto as well as 4-wheel high. That's important locker for the rear. And that's just your drive mode select. And then here is the climate control section, right? You've got the heated and cooled seats and heated steering wheel all in that section. And then you can see here with the silver trim down below, this covers a little bit of extra storage space. Shifter there for the 10-speed automatic transmission. Now it's got the plus and minus for the gears, and then a couple cup holders. And then here's your FTX logo there in the center console with the contrast with the brown and the black. And then notice they give you your build number. So it's a limited edition truck. They only build 500 of them for the year. And so it's cool that it shows you your build number too. And that definitely makes you feel a little more special. And there's the glove box setup. And you can see there with the dash. I guess going back to the build number while I'm showing you guys the sunroof and everything, I wonder how many people like fight over getting number 1 out of 500 for like the truck. Or I wonder if they like keep that as like a demo or something. I don't know. It's something to be curious to hear about. But here's the sticker for the FTX package. So You guys will notice with the equipment, most of the stuff's standard with the FTX package, but again, you guys can see Fox 2.0 Performance Series tuned shocks. And again, everything's pretty much standard. So like the fender flares and the aggressive bodywork and the hood and all that comes with the package. And so the FTX comes, loaded up as standard. But notice there's a couple optional features, right? Like this one has the mud terrain tires. It's got the blacked out badges as well. And there's just a couple options that are added to it. But you can see the total price there, $90,000 is the sticker price. But popping back over to the Shelby truck. Cool startup animation. And notice here at the steering wheel, we do have a little change. There's carbon fiber there on the steering wheel. So that is a slight change compared to stock. So we don't technically have a stock steering wheel, but also built off of a loaded up lariat. So you still have the adaptive cruise control. And then notice the turn signal windshield wiper stock right there. And then you can see going from that to the gauge cluster. Notice again, full digital gauge cluster. And with this, like I said, they can't really change anything. And so they're just left with Ford's UI, which I think is great. Drive modes are the same between both the trucks because they're built off the same package. So you get the same cool animations. What would be cool, I don't know how hard this would be, is if they changed the graphic with the F-150. Maybe they could work with Ford with that to make it so it was like the FTX, or with this case, the Shelby F-150 in that drive mode graphic. I think that would be pretty cool, but I imagine that's a very expensive endeavor, so probably not worth it in the long run, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Anyways, you can see here with the camera system. Now, this one does have the 360 camera system, so that's an interesting distinction between these two trucks. The other one just has the backup camera, whereas this one has the full 360 camera system, which, I mean, in a truck this big, it's definitely helpful, right? And also just the price that both of them are at, right? You don't want anything happening to them, so when you're pulling in a tight parking space, it's great to see every single angle. And so I guess that's 1 point for the Shelby F-150 off-road in this review. But you can see with the infotainment system, functionality is the same with both of them. And going from that, you got the Pro Trailer Assist, trailer brake controls, and then this one has 4-wheel auto, right? Because it's lariat, so that comes with it. Locker on the rear, got the drive mode select in that area. And then again, carbon fiber is added all over. Heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheel, all that fun stuff. And then you can see here, that's interesting. Got the wood trim there in the center, the carbon fiber. Definitely interesting. The gray trim in the FTX kind of matched better with the theme, so kind of remember that when we're going over the final thoughts. Shifter there for the 10-speed automatic. And then notice here at the center console, we've got our little Carroll Shelby badge right there and Shelby F-150. Notice it doesn't give you like your specific build number instead. They give you like your chassis number. But, I mean, both just as cool, right? And then you can see the glove box. Pretty normal stuff. All carbon fiber all around there, which that's kind of a theme here with the F-150, the Shelby F-150 rather. And then popping up to the top, full panoramic sunroof, got sunglass holder, and then you can see there with the power sliding rear window as well with the truck. So yeah, super similar option wise. I think the only difference was that 360 camera. So I wonder if that's because of the chip shortage. But anyways, 22 is the standard, and you guys can see here with the equipment, and both of them have warranties. You guys probably also noticed with the stickers. That's another thing, 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty. And like I said, this one has the more advanced shocks. It's got the 2.5, but no, it's $115,330 for the total price. So is it really worth the extra $25,000 over the FTX? And here's what I have to say. I think that for what the FTX is, I know this is I'm going to sound crazy and out of my mind. It's actually somewhat of a bargain, and the reason I'm saying that is you can get a Shelby F-150 off-road without the supercharger, and that's over $100,000. So you literally already pay like $15,000 price premium to get a Shelby, just to have the Shelby name on the F-150 off-road. Yeah, it has the more advanced shocks and all that, but the point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to get a Shelby F-150, you want to get the supercharged version, because the non-supercharged version is so similar to the FTX that the FTX is being less expensive is the value truck. It doesn't have the name, but it has most of the equipment. And if you really didn't want the shocks that I had and you wanted the upgraded shocks, then that's, a few $1,000s, which sucks, but that's a lot less than $15,000 is the point that I'm trying to make. Aside from that, I mean, these two trucks compared to each other, it really just depends on what you're looking for. So again, with the FTX, that's like your practical off-roader type truck that has a normal engine that's going to get, relatively good fuel economy. It's not going to be as quick. It still feels special. I'm not trying to say that, but it doesn't feel as special as the Shelby F-150. Off-road, because again, the Shelby F-150 has the Shelby name, which is a lot stronger than the FTX name, and with that truck, it's got the supercharger. It's way faster. It's way more fun, and so it really just depends on what you're going to be looking for. I'd say the FTX they're both daily drivable. I can tell you that I daily drive a supercharged truck with a V8, so I can say they're both daily drivable. The FTX is probably a little bit more daily drivable because it's going to get better fuel economy, but like if you can afford the gas, then Shelby F-150 off-road would be my personal pick, but I both think they're great trucks, and the reason they make both of them is because there's different buyers for both of them. Let me know which one you guys would pick.